I was doing a session with one of my executive coaching clients in the last couple of weeks, and something came up that I think can be benefited from for more people knowing about. And this came up because this particular leader had been putting so much work into improving his leadership style and his positive leadership approach. And he felt there was so much effort that he was putting in, but the team didn't seem to notice the changes. And he was starting to get a bit disheartened. And so what we had spoken about is that there is a lag between change and people seeing the change. And I explained this in sort of quite a simple term that I think people understand or can see. And I use the analogy that if you started to get fit and go to the gym, you might feel the difference with like a couple of kilos difference, but other people don't notice. But once it gets to maybe around that 5 kilo difference, people start to see the difference. And it's the same with our changes in our leadership. People don't know, particularly with adults, to calibrate continually. You take the person that you met, and maybe it's the person you met 10 years ago, you created an opinion, and you keep that opinion. And it's only when something drastically changes, or perhaps they go away somewhere and come back, do you see them in a different light. Now the challenge with that is we as humans are always changing, and particularly for people that are going through executive coaching or personal development, they change at a rate much faster, but the people around don't keep up with that rate of change. And that can be a bit disheartening and also a little bit frustrating because people around you treat you as if you were the person last week, last year, last decade. I once had someone in my team that was going through such a rapid personal development. I found that every week I was calibrating to the new version that was turning up, and it really kept me on my toes. The great thing was because I was aware of it, I was able to work with her and make sure that I was helping her to where she was that day, not where she was last month or last year. So there's a few ways as a leader that you might be going through these changes that you can implement that I want to share. One of those ways is signposting. So this is also telling people that there is something that you're trying. So I'm a big believer in open leadership. So if I'm trying something new, I will share what I'm trying, why I'm trying it, because I want to be open and authentic for people to see that I'm human too. And also they might learn that that's something that they can apply. So you can signpost it to say, this is something that I'm trying, and I'd love your feedback on how it's going. You could also try the new behaviors, your new activity style. So for example, you might be wanting to share your expectations more instead of your team are going and doing an activity at the end saying that's not what I wanted, how to share your expectations at the beginning and check in. So you could share with them, this new style that I'm working on is telling you my expectations up front. And what that looks like is blah, 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 and this is how I'm gonna do it. And I'd love to know your feedback on how that's working for you. So using signposts to tell people that you're changing and ask them for feedback. So there's a couple of tips on the lag that happens when we change as adults. And I think it's really good to just remember with kids, often when you see a child, it can be 3 months, and the automatic response is, wow, you've grown, because it's so obvious. But as adults, we continually grow as well. So make sure you're recalibrating to the people around you and to your team. And if you feel that you personally haven't grown or developed a lot lately, perhaps it's time to start expanding those horizons and looking into growth. Because if you're not growing, you're staying still and you're being stagnant. And the world is growing around you. So if you're not growing, you're actually getting further behind. So the option of staying still is not an option. You're either going forward or you're going backwards. And at the rate of change, this is the slowest rate of change we're going to experience for the rest of the future. Today is the slowest rate of change. So get used to change, get used to growing, and make sure you're calibrating to the people around you to help encourage them to continue growth as well. I hope this has been helpful.